Professor Serhan Afacan. He's a professor of history from Istanbul Medeniyet University. Professor Afacan, thank you very much for joining us. So as we are into day 7 of Operation Spring Shield, what is your assessment of how the fight is going thus far?
I think we can analyze the entire situation on 3 different levels. We have the short-term level, the mid-term level, and the long-term level. What Turkey is now doing in the field, in the battlefield in Idlib, is more about the short-term level of the entire situation. And this is to stop the violence of the Bashar al-Assad regime and its allies, as it was referred by President Erdogan today. And that is very difficult because although Turkey is very powerful in the battlefield in Idlib, Russia is still supporting Bashar al-Assad, Iran is still supporting Bashar al-Assad. But there is even more difficult and more challenging second level of the crisis, which is, as I said, the mid-term level of it. And it is about to find a ceasefire regarding the battle going on in Idlib. And that, of course, concerns talk tomorrow in Moscow between President Erdogan and President Vladimir Putin. And there is also a third level of the crisis, which is about to finding a sustainable and permanent political solution to the Syrian crisis, which, at least for the time being, is like an impossibility.
Well, let's deal with those in an order then, Professor Afacan. In the first instance, as you mentioned, the desire is to try and stop the fighting, come to some sort of ceasefire. That conversation is going to be had between Vladimir Putin and President Erdogan tomorrow. Are you optimistic at all that a ceasefire can be agreed to? And if a ceasefire is agreed to, will it be on terms that Turkey's president will be happy with?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that Turkey will not be able to get everything or anything that he wants, but definitely Turkey will have to make some compromises. Here is the problem. The problem is that Turkey wants to stop the advancement of the Bashar al-Assad regime and its attacks in Idlib. But on the other hand, Russia and, of course, Damascus, Bashar al-Assad regime wants to stop the Turkish dominance in the battlefield in Idlib. And can they find a midway solution? It's very difficult. But even though if there is a ceasefire tomorrow out of the conversation between the two leaders, I think the question is, will that ceasefire be permanent or temporary? And I think for the time being, what I see from the reports coming from Russia and from also the Turkish authorities, they will be seeking at least a temporary ceasefire in Idlib, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, Professor Afacan, thank you very much for that analysis.